Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Caps. I'm Isaac Anderson, the author of A Song of Bones in the Garden Maze. I'm joined by my co-host, Tim McKay, the author of The Fall of Selvandre and the upcoming Skyfold. And our very special guest today is Jared Michaud.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Michaud, the author of Bright Star, From the Void, Winter Night, and many, many others. He is an expert in writing books with great blue covers.
Hey, now
is-
one outlier.
I got a green one and a purple one
Valid
too.
one.
So
There we go. So,
Okay.
do you like to color code your books? Like, are all the blue ones together? And
So that's actually, I have two different cover artists that I'm using. One of them is my cousin's wife, and she suggested the blue theme for the sci-fi series that I'm doing. It's not going to be a super long series. I'm thinking 4, maybe 5 installments, and then maybe some more in the world later. But that's the series is 4 or 5, and they're not super long. But that was her idea, was let's stick with the blue color scheme for that. So for those
Cool.
ones, you're right. We got blue and blue and blue and. But
It
it
works.
is all
It's great.
it's all the same series though, and it does work. And then for the fantasy stuff, I wanted something that was a little more varied. And Winter Night did need to be purple because of the atmosphere in the book. But with Path of the Talonwood, I got to go with green, specifically because Path of the Talonwood is set in a forest. So
yeah.
the Talonwood is green, and that let me do something that varied my color scheme a little, which I was actually looking forward to be perfectly honest.
Well, it worked. I mean, the vibes fit. Having read, I think all but one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I can vouch.
Yeah.
I mean, the vibe fits for sure. Like we've got some of the covers here. Can put them up a little larger for everyone.
Sure.
Yeah, so Bright Star, like that fits absolutely. The other one, this one I really enjoyed, Veil of Mysteries.
Thank you.
That was solid, very well written, and like exactly the vibe. If anything, you feel like you're seeing a scene of the story, which is hard to get on covers,
Well, and what I was actually going for with the covers, interestingly enough, nobody has ever asked me about this. Interestingly enough, what I was going for with the covers was something that symbolically fit what the main character was experiencing, what the main character was going through in the story, more than just a scene or something, though it would work perfectly fine for a scene. I was trying to go for that. And Winter Night is more directly, the Mythologia series, Winter Night and Path of the Talonwood are more directly, this is actually a scene from the story. So
yeah, well, I mean, that just says you did a good job, putting those covers together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I don't know if you're familiar with El Jaggy Lamplighter, the
Okay,
yeah, posted an article recently about what covers are for, and I was reading through it going, yep. They've got to show, basically the key is they have to show the reader what the genre is so that they know what to expect going into the book and they're not disappointed. That's the first job a cover has.
Yeah, it's a promise to the reader.
Yeah,
and then let's take another look at this one, because this comes out in 2 days, right? That's
that comes out in 2 days, and
that's awesome.
Wow.
And I have physical copies, so that's exciting.
Very cool. Yeah, we've got your website linked underneath on YouTube, so anyone who wants to check these out, everything is there.
By the way, anybody who is interested, I give away all of my ebooks for free to anybody who joins my email list. So join the email list. Path of the Talonwood should go out on Saturday to everybody.
Very
nice.
Cool.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
And JA, as soon as I have a barn, I'll bring it out. I promise.
To JA, yeah, here we go. Yeah, next time. Yeah, and I can vouch for Path of Talonwood. It's very, very fun. It's like, and one thing I love seeing this with authors. I really do. I just read a novella. This was from Timothy Wolfe. I just finished his novella the other day, The Whisper That Replaced God, and I was super impressed by how it was a very new writing style for him. And it was so incredibly well done. So having read one or two of his other books, I was like, whoa, this is like radically different. And he nailed it. Some authors really struggle jumping between styles. You, sir, are like top tier for doing this. I was genuinely like, how the hell did you jump from the style of, and we'll get into this, like Bright Star, the intended audience, I think is
Uh-huh.
important, right?
Yeah.
The style I felt was, and just yeah, there was like a good fit for fantasy, like the prose and the style, uh,
Uh-huh.
for Talonwood was just off the charts to me, and I was like, it's so radically different, and you still pull it off.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, again, like not everyone can do that.
I have had people say that before, but I don't I don't know. I can't say that I consciously do this
Mm,
exactly. It's more along the lines of, "This is the story I'm telling. This is the mind space that I need to be in to tell the story. This is what I want the readers to be experiencing, and so I experience it as I write it, and that's what I'm trying to put across." And so that's how I do that, but I wouldn't say that I intentionally change up my writing style. It's more just, this is what I'm trying to put across. So
that's interesting. Do you
You're a
read a lot?
method writer then.
probably that's a
Hmm,
decent way to put it.
yeah. 'Cause I was gonna say, like, is it like absorption from reading in the different genres? Maybe I don't
No,
know. Yeah,
it's immersion in the world.
fair.
It's like the world of mythologia is very visual. It's very in person, almost first person. I almost could have
Yeah,
written those first person. It's very
yeah,
present, and so writing it from that perspective, you get the characters' feelings, you get what they're
mm,
experiencing, you get when they see something that is very visually appealing, you see that visual coming through. That's how I feel about the story, that's how I'm thinking about the world, and
yeah,
so that's how I write it. And then
Yeah.
when with the Bright Star series, it is much more psychological. It's much more, what is the experience that's happening here, because the character is very much, well, he's autistic, which
mm,
isn't a big spoiler, but because of that, he's in his head all the way, all the time. And so that is coming through when I'm writing that one, because
yeah,
how that's how he sees his world. And it's all from Nate's perspective, except for a few different little snippets in there. But because I'm writing them all in the same series, I kind of tried to keep it similar, a similar feel.
fair.
And
That's
what
it.
what
Yeah.
what is the series? Give us your elevator pitch.
It's the Chronicles of Narnia for the post Star Wars generation.
Hmm.
Sums it up.
It does.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what it is. It's the
yeah.
Chronicles of Narnia for the post Star Wars generation. But
Star Wars Narnia.
well, it's you know I should delve into that a little more, because
Yeah, yeah.
we are a little more technical here. So
We've got
I
time.
I really, really love Star Wars and Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card
Mm,
and some of the other more sci-fi, but really space fantasy. It's
yeah,
technically
Yeah.
space fantasy, right?
yeah.
It's not sci-fi. Hard sci-fi would be more in the lines of Asimov, or some of the newer ones would be the one the guy
Martian.
who right, the one who did The Expanse, the book
Yeah.
behind, right? Those are more hard sci-fi, but Starnia, nice,
I love
nice. Um,
it.
but I like those okay, but I have never been drawn to write them.
Mm,
Hmm.
I appreciate them, and I do have that kind of a technical background. My whole family are engineers, but um I've always been drawn to the space fantasy. When I was a kid, I would read Star Wars, or we'd listen to the audiobooks in the car or whatever. And I I don't know what it is they did exactly with the music from the original movies, but it really impacted me emotionally as a kid. And so you know how those things are when they stick with you,
yeah,
and you want to impact people the same way. And so that was what was behind that. But I also really as an adult, especially, I have really appreciated what C.S. Lewis did with a lot of his fiction, and how he tied it into something where there was some truth in there that really struck home for me every time I would read it. There's something profound about what he has to write, and so I aspire to something that has the feel of the one with the spirit of what C.S. Lewis did. The spirit of the what C.S. Lewis did, but the feel of the space fantasy.
Yeah.
I was thinking it feels like maybe I think for me a closer comparison than Star Wars reading it was Mass Effect, but for C.S. Lewis's audience.
Okay.
If you've played the
Okay.
Mass Effect games at all.
I have not.
Okay, yeah. So like it has almost closer to that style of sci-fi, which, like you said, it's sci-fantasy, and there's like this. What you did really well is your Energematris. I can never say it. I can never.
That's all right. It's Energematris 6.
Energematris 6. It's never gonna happen.
That's all right.
But like it's this coherent power source and it's much more than that in your world. And kind of like in Mass Effect, they call it Mass Effect. And it's kind of this, but you add this, again, you tie it in with the allegorical sense and almost a spiritual sense. And then following Nate's
Very
character.
much.
Yeah, like that's where
Very
it gets really
much.
fun. So it takes Mass Effect and hits home
So-
much different. Anyways, I loved it.
Yeah. When it comes to Energematris 6, I said that most of my family are engineers. I told my dad when I was writing these that this book is as much engineered as it is written, because exactly that. The world behind it, and particularly Energematris 6, are incredibly carefully crafted to be both a spiritual allegory tool and to be a coherent magic system that is physics based.
Yeah.
Because I have a huge problem with people who don't understand what magic is. Magic is actually communing with demons to get power from spiritual beings into this world. That's what it is. And so if you don't understand that, I mean, you can hand wave it. Tolkien and Lewis both hand waved it. And that's fine, but I understand what it is, and so I wanted something that was clear what was going on, clear down to the bottom of it, clear down to the foundation.
But so do you have like creepy magic?
Yeah, I was gonna say, there we go.
Yes.
Some of it's creepy.
Well, okay, so when you get to
in both series, but we'll get to Talonwood later.
And when Tim, when you got to the end of Bright Star, when you were first reading it, you saw the Changed. The Changed is an example of creepy magic. It's an example of something that came through from the other side of somewhere that infested a human being that was not supposed to be there. And we see a huge explosion of that coming through slowly at first in a trickle, and then more and more in the Veil of Mysteries. And you just have to wait until you see what I'm doing with the sequel, Tim. It's going to be interesting.
I'm excited.
So, well,
like even the history of that, the history of those creatures, and
yes,
and the history of well, is it a spoiler to say Earth? I don't think so. Yeah,
no, it's not a spoiler.
Earth, right?
They are the character's dream of a planet in chains.
That's good. Yeah, I won't say more. Yeah. it's hard not to spoil it, so I'm just gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the character's dream of a planet in chains.
It's good.
And I'm currently developing that a little bit for another book I'm working on with a friend that is actually set in the Energematris 6 universe. That is, it has 1800s and early 1900s technology, and it is the characters are hunting essentially demons.
Fun.
I love a good demon hunt.
Yeah,
demons are very fun to hunt.
This is like almost like a Western in the swamp with Energematris 6 thrown in.
That's fun.
Swamp Western.
Yeah, I'm working on a horror piece right now, which is a bit left field for me, but it is fun because there is a major supernatural component to it, and it's in a fantasy setting, but exploring that dynamic, exploring the supernatural and horror, exploring the supernatural and I would say like metaphorically the demonic in this case.
Yes.
it's a lot of fun to play around with in a horror so more like the demons chasing you as opposed to you chasing the demons. That's it's again from and this is from a character who just doesn't know what he's up against, and that's like the horror there comes from not being
That's
equipped.
the best
like
person
that.
to go after a demon.
Hmm?
The person who doesn't fully understand the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Perfect
What's
person.
the C.S. Lewis line? C.S. Lewis had a great line about that. He more or less, convincing people the devil isn't real, right?
Yeah. I have a question for you, Tim.
Sure.
You talk about horror. You've read both Bright Star and The Veil of Mysteries. Do you get a bit of a horror vibe? I'm curious.
Well, that's kind of where my mind went. I thought, like a lot of like, in my opinion, all good depictions of evil have to feel a little bit like horror, or I'm not satisfied. That's just how that's my favorite thing about the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yes,
they nail evil depicted through horror.
I've got
it. Anyways, yeah.
I wasn't gonna do this, but I've got a piece I have to read to you. It's about 3 pages before we finish. I'll read it to the whole audience. I've done it before on live. It's going into one of my next short story books. And I've got to do this because we talk about horror. I don't know. Do you want me to do this now? This is a horror themed piece.
You're the guest.
Let's see it. Yeah, because I mean, to answer your question before you do, I would say like absolutely yes. Like the end of Bright Star, immediately it was like, oh, we just transitioned from like fun pre-teen. I think that's the right age group, right? Sci-fi.
Well, it's actually more teen, but
teen, yeah, like young teen though, right? They're in the younger half, I think. Maybe somewhere.
Yeah, probably. I would say younger.
Trying to remember exactly, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. So early teen. Very fun age group to follow, and then it progresses for like there's a lot of brightness and a lot of strife, a lot of politics, a lot of sci-fi, a lot of magic, and then suddenly, oh shoot, and it's like okay, I like space horror, I like Alien, and I like all that good stuff. So I was like, ooh, okay, now we're having fun, and I'm like it. There were gothic horror elements in book 2, but I'm trying to remember. I definitely got more of that horror vibe, I think, book 1.
Well, and that's partly because we got a closer, a more face-to-face look at the enemy in book 1 than we did in book 2. There was a much larger battle scene in book 2, but it didn't have that sort of in-your-face sort of thing. Book 3 is, so far, it's all in your face.
Fair. Yeah, like the battle in book 2 was very much like a space battle. It was what you expected.
It was.
Without spoiling. It was a sci-fi magic space
but there was sort of a psychological horror element at the end, and I'm not going to spoil that one because that one was the readers just got to find that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me read this to you if that's all right.
Let's do it.
In inescapable darkness, the progenitors lie dreaming. When creation was young and matter yet unformed, the first ones swam the primordial energy streams of the trackless universe. Because they must contend with the plasma and ionized chaos of the void, the Lightmaker created their bodies from the most incorruptible and potent materials in existence. Their physical matrix was inextricably infused with Energemetra 6, the very energy of creation. So powerful was their substance that neither mere matter nor the physical forces of the universe could harm it. They were beautiful, indestructible, and glorious, and they rode the primordial energies with abandon, transporting themselves upon the very photons that traversed the cosmic soup. Each one of the first ones was unique and unlike any other ever made. Each had its own glory and individual purpose. As the universe cooled and expanded, the first ones discovered that purpose. They fell in love with the stars, whose light was the only force capable of crossing the primeval void. The beauty of the heavens was their playground, for you see, the first ones had been made to be star tenders. Under their care were the very suns themselves, the furnaces of light and power that provided fuel to the universe, casting their light across the emptiness to nourish the planets and all the lesser life that proliferated among the more concrete states of matter, wherever it might solidify. The first one's task was critical. Without their attention, the suns that fed the universe became unstable. Their energies were liable to unbalance, exploding across the void to sear the lesser life from existence. But it was not enough for the first ones. Some few became enamored of the lesser life they had been created to protect and nourish. In their unconquerable strength and solitary majesty, the Startenders were arrogant. They became jealous of the only power they did not have, for the Lightmaker had not designed them to reproduce as he had the organic creatures, whose lives were governed by the stars the first ones had been created to tend. These rebels devised a plan, a means to co-opt the frail organics who were, by some remove, their charges. The first one's minds, created to understand and manipulate matter at its most basic level, turned to the task of conceiving races of supermen, each in the likeness of the mighty progenitor who spawned them, bred with the help of the same organics their stars domineered. But twisting the Lightmaker's design always has a cost, and the progenitors discovered that once their vision had been clouded by pride, the void they had been created to so effortlessly navigate had an allure they could not resist. As they had been made to tend the beauty of the heavens, their undoing was to fall in love with the very nature of the void itself. Once they had broken the Lightmaker's order, they began to find fascination in how that order might be endlessly twisted into more and more grotesquely pleasing perversions of itself. Minds that had been made to understand the very nature of matter and its permutations could also devise infinite variations upon its intended form for their own amusement, however depraved those variations might be. It was, after all, only lesser life. Of the horrors that descended from their twisted imaginations, devolving into reality-twisting abomination, human tales are too fragile to tell. The age over which they presided became the very defining essence of horror, and they, the progenitors, were its masters. So great their degradation became that the Lightmaker decreed they be caught in an imprisonment powerful enough that even the rays of light they had been made to ride would be incapable of escaping. But they were too potent to capture in any ordinary fashion, and so the stars in which they dwelt were manipulated to collapse upon themselves, imprisoning the progenitors in the very darkness they had so recklessly courted. Their bodies, made to withstand any physical force the universe might experience, could not be destroyed, but the stars whose light they loved so dearly were lost to them forever, until such time as the Lightmaker might bring them to a reckoning. And so the progenitors lie even to this day, dreaming of twisted abomination in their prisons of inescapable darkness.
Spooky black hole Genesis 6 angels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So here's the fun observation. Cthulhu is Abaddon, aka Apollyon.
According to Lovecraft or according to real
According
life?
to me. According to me.
That's fun.
No,
oh yeah.
no. But yeah, so you talk about space horror. That was sort of, you said that and I couldn't resist. I wanted to read it because that is my sort of Cthulhu, as you said, Genesis black hole Genesis 6 angels, Isaac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's Genesis 6 angels, Nephilim.
So these are the upcoming big bads, or have they made their presence known in your stories?
I mean, in a sense they have, but one of the stories, sorry, trying to think this through. From the Void has some short stories about some of the characters from the other books in it, and one of those characters is Tom Neelian. I call him the boy from the darkness, and he is a direct offspring of one of those progenitors. So his family line comes straight from one of them, as you would put it, Nephilim. That's where he traces his roots. So we do see that sort of root there, but we haven't seen the enemies that come down from this track appear yet.
So question number 2, on the note of just what we heard, you do your own audiobooks.
I am working on that. Yeah.
So have any of them been released yet, or it's still a work in progress?
Well, okay, so I'm doing two different things. One of them is a podcast where we just read the books aloud, and
Oh, nice.
it's multicast. It's available on any podcast app. If you were to put the word Energemetra 6 into any podcast app, it would bring it right up. e6universe.com. My website has links, and you can just listen to basically the whole series, both of them, through that. But as far as the formal production quality audiobooks, I do not have those released yet.
Fair.
Cool.
But coming, do you have a timeline?
I'm working on it.
Very much work. Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. That's fun. I mean, you're one of the first people it was you and David Batterina were two of the first people I talked to in kind of the indie author community about doing your own audiobooks. And it was very fun to learn early on. I mean, and I'm addicted now. That's the fun thing for me right now about finishing a book is then getting.
I get to do the audio now. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
I mean, and I'm like, no, it's fun. It's a hell of a lot of fun.
You saw I was getting into reading that. It's fun to read your own stuff. It's just fun. It's like I get to share this with a whole new group of people, and I get to express it in my own voice. That's awesome.
Like the other this was a while back. It was probably like 1 or 2 months. Dewey Conway got on his channel, and he was just reading off in his soothing, melodic, awesome voice. It was from their him and Bill their Tana the whatever. It's a mid-grade fantasy book, and he's just reading it off, doing character voices, having a good time. And it was fun. Like that actually, like a lot of people want to hear that from the author. So it is one place where author YouTube channels have a lot of potential. So it's very cool. It's, and like you said, podcasts across multiple different platforms. Yeah,
it's on YouTube, it's on Rumble, and I have like any podcast app. So yeah,
no, very cool.
But so that's I don't know, that is essentially the core of what I'm doing, guys. That is those things.
Yeah, nice. Well, I mean, it's like there we're getting the setup for the horror, but what we're really getting is like the combination of allegory and lore building. So you build that suspense, to build that upcoming dread. So one question we were talking, like Isaac and I were talking beforehand too. So we were thinking, and this always comes to mind for me because I've read a lot of allegories, and some better than others, and the trickiest part is it's okay if it's obvious. I mean, if you read some C.S. Lewis, some of it is very in your
blindingly
face.
Very on the nose.
But it's not browbeating. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a reason those are some of the most popular books on the planet, regardless of someone's faith. Which is. So I'm curious, like, how do you toe that line? Because it doesn't feel like, and in the E6 series in particular, it's very obvious, but it's not like.
I was curious about that. I was wondering what your thoughts were, because I don't actually get all that much opportunity to talk to other authors about that subject. So you would say then it is reasonably obvious, but I'm not like beating people over the head.
Yeah, no. I think
okay.
I didn't.
So the way I think about it, the way I conceptualize it is not actually as an allegory. I think it was Marcus Aurelius who said that what we do, it might have been somebody else, but what we do echoes in eternity. Right?
Marcus Aurelius gets blamed for so many things.
Right. Well, that was where I heard that source. Either way, though,
the point is, I think. Well, see, anyone from I think our generation is going to give credit to wrong. Probably, I'm sure it does come directly from Marcus Aurelius in his or not. What's his main book called? Anyways, I'm sure it's in there.
I wrote this book by Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, but everyone knows it from Gladiator coming out of the mouth of frickin' Maximus, in the opening scene of the movie.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so I think to a degree that's true, but that if that's true, then the most important stories in the world are going to echo loudest of all. And so I think of what I'm doing as an echo. So think of it this way. If you or I were transported to another world, and, well, let me pull in one more thing for context here. Do either of you know anything about Pareto distribution?
Ish.
Okay,
No.
this is called the 80-20 rule. The
80-20
idea
rule,
is
yeah.
that 20% of the people in any organization will always do 80% of the work, or that 20% of the things in a genre or the things in a field will float to the top and 80% will be basically left behind. So it's, but
and 20% of the work you do in a given day is responsible for 80% of the results.
yes. And so that being the case, this is a rule that is just consistent across everything in society. You can't break it. No matter what we do, this ends up being followed. Every organization, every person's life. You can't, and we don't know exactly why, right?
Hmm.
It just, we don't understand why. We can describe what we see, we can describe that it exists, but we don't know why that's the case. And so the way I'm looking at this, at my writing, is if what we do echoes in eternity and the loudest stories, or the most important stories, echo loudest of all, then the way that's going to wind up looking is, if you or I is transported to another world, then our life is going to end up echoing the most important stories in this world, because they're all of the other worlds are attached to this one. They all come from this one. All of the fiction that is written by people in this world are other worlds that are sort of floating around ours. And so if they are going to end up echoing what happens in this world to some degree or other, in some way or other. And so I want what I'm doing to echo the most important story of all.
Hmm.
But I don't want it to be something where it's like I'm preaching at people. We get enough of that from the woke mainstream media entertainment complex, preaching something that I just don't have any interest in. People are sick of it. They don't want preaching, but at the same time, what I do is going to echo something, and so I want it to echo the most important things.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I got in trouble once in my early days on Twitter, and I guess I should have expected it, but not the blowback I got, just for saying like I'm tired of preaching in books, and I was getting that on all sides.
Yeah.
I was getting that yeah, just and I read pretty broadly from authors of all political stripes, of all religious stripes,
Yes.
and it was just interesting. It was like I was really bored and tired of it. So I made a post
Yes.
about it. I was just like, like it would be nice. It's okay to have enriching content
Yes.
and meaningful content, but could you do like? But it's also okay to entertain, and finding that balance is important. And not preaching at me is really important, because I'm gonna run away from your book in a heartbeat.
So I gotta ask, you're with me on this. This is something where I can't see my own work, but I agree with your perspective there. What kind of grade would you give me on that?
I mean, yeah, no, I'd give you a solid A. Let's give it an A.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, like it's there, and I think you and I, we chatted once about one scene where I was like, okay, here I feel like the character is preaching. I don't think it's you, so it didn't feel like the author preaching at me, but I was like, oh, that's heavy-handed, and it threw
Yeah.
me off. And then it was like, okay, now I can allow it. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes that's the tough thing too. And there's another conversation is, if you're presenting a character who has a preachy side to them, how do you do that in a way that doesn't come across as you, the author, preaching?
You have the other characters keep a grounded view of what they're doing and be like, yo, dude's preaching over there.
Yeah, you kind of mock it or draw attention to it so that it's
Or
clear
just, they're like, you know what? Yeah, okay, I get that he's passionate about this, but come on, man, enough's
Yeah.
enough, sort of a thing. It's like, we do that for each other in real life too, though. It's like when you
Yeah.
or I get passionate about something and we get up on our soapbox, we'll give each other room, and that's a fine thing. But we also recognize that this is an issue where we feel strongly, and not everybody's going to go along with that. Not everybody's going to feel as strongly as we do.
Yeah.
And I'm very much in that, in that camp when it comes to my writing. I understand not everybody's going to feel as strongly as I do, but I do have strong feelings about stories.
Fair. Well, I don't want this to be a non sequitur.
But I like non sequiturs.
Okay, well, I just don't want to forget, because it's something you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
that I want to draw attention to here, because like I really like your approach, not just to the stories, but to how you market them, and it kind of reflects that passion, which is why I thought of it, and I thought back to how you said it earlier, because you put all of your ebooks for free with your newsletter,
Yeah.
which is a really bold step. And you see, most authors will maybe put maybe a little lead magnet, some little tiny, novella, or not even that, a short story maybe, and that's kind of meant to. You just put it all there,
I,
getting it out there,
I'm
and
gonna
it
be
seems to
honest with
work
you.
for you.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Tim. That wasn't my idea.
Huh?
I was talking to God one day, and this idea comes into my head fully formed, and I'm like, well, okay, if you
Guess
say
we're doing
so.
it.
I mean, as you have freely you have received, freely give, I guess.
But I mean, on the flip side, then, so you do that, which is huge, a huge sacrifice in that case,
Sure.
right? And at the same time, though, I think you and Trinity Cunningham, who we had on like a few weeks ago, are the two people I know who seem to do them well. Maybe the exception of Mike Molman, but you two in particular, you and Trinity, seem to do incredibly well with in-person sales. So it's almost like your online presence as a whole is almost the lead magnet, in a way, in that sense. But your in-person sales, and you have really interesting tactics. So I do want to get into that.
My well, there's a reason behind that. I'm no good at the online marketing thing. I'm
Fair.
really bad at the online marketing thing. There's bad, and then there's me, and I'm way down here where you can't even see it. I'm that bad at online marketing. So, but the other half of it is that people seem to really enjoy physical books. If they like a book, they want a physical copy of it. And so I'm hoping that my writing is good enough that it merits people wanting to buy a physical copy. And that's the best I know to do. Is I want people to have the stories, guys. It's like the other thing I know about what I'm doing is every time you find an author who's incredibly good, it takes them a long time to catch on, like Dune or Tolkien, or I mean, these people took decades for their work to catch on, and it's because they were so unusual compared to anything else that was being done at the time. And what I'm doing isn't particularly normal. It's not like this is fitting into somebody's genre or fitting into the right boxes. It doesn't fit the boxes. It's kind of unique and different and weird. And so I want to make it so that anybody can get a hold of it. I want to give it as much opportunity to grow as possible. But then when it comes to the physical books, I don't mind charging a little more than other people are for the physical books that they're offering, because I know I'm doing that. I'm probably 20% higher or up to 30% higher than most authors for the books that I'm offering physically too.
Even that isn't bad. I mean, competing with prices in like bookstores, for example. I don't know a single indie author who can sell their books without a bit of an uptick just to get by. Not even get by.
Yeah, well, and I'm not getting by. I'm not.
Fair.
but yeah,
Travel
no.
expenses alone, right? Yeah.
I am happy to talk about the physical sales thing at some point, though. Too. Was there anything else you wanted to hit as far as the writing stuff goes? Because I'm curious.
Oh,
I had one more question about your writing methods.
Yeah, please.
So it sounds like the first few books are geared toward more the younger audience. And it sounds like you're prepping up some cosmic horror stuff. So are you planning on your audience growing up with the books? Or
yeah, that's a good question.
How are you approaching those heavier, more scary elements when you're writing for younger people? Because I write for younger people, and I often have to go back with a little red pen and say, "No, we can't. This is a little too much. That's a little too much. That's a little too much." So what is your method?
That's a really good question, man. I'm not sure that I have that method down very well yet. So the best answer I have goes something like this: that I am writing I'm writing what I want to read now. I'm writing what I think everybody would want to read in this particular zone that I'm writing in, but I'm making it safe for younger people as well.
Hmm.
And that means that based on where I'm doing a lot of my in-person sales, I end up selling it to younger people, to families. But to me, it's not about it being for younger people. It's about I'm writing what I would want to read, but I'm also writing it so that younger people can read it. And it isn't too
watered down, or
well, it isn't too heavy for them. It isn't like but then again, with this third book, I'm getting into some stuff that's pretty creepy, like, but it's also pretty real.
Yeah.
Like, demonic possession is a real thing. I've seen it myself in my life. I've seen people actually under the influence of demonic forces, and when you see it, you can't unsee it. And so I'm getting into that a little bit because that's what the changed are. Well, how do I do that without making it too much for kids? I don't know. I don't know whether I can.
That's dropping in. Yeah. Oh, I was. What did that make me immediately think of? Well, oh yeah, no, I saw like this is, don't worry, we're still staying on the rating, but it's interesting to me because Isaac and I have talked about this a lot. Is just how if you are writing for a younger audience, the marketing there is very tough. So then if you're going to, for example, I grabbed a picture of this. I love that you do this, going to like the homeschooling convention. So
well, not just one, I did 12 this year.
Holy crap.
Oh, nice.
12 homeschooling conventions. Yeah.
In 11 different states.
So that's the interesting thing then. If you are writing for yourself, that's a pretty standard piece of writing advice, but then catering to an audience where you have to be a little more careful, that makes it tricky.
It is.
And then now you're selling to parents, which is really interesting. So now you have like 4 jobs on the table there. You're writing for yourself. You're also trying to open it up to kids. You have to talk about your story in a way that their parents are going to like. That's all.
I actually have a really interesting approach when it comes to in-person marketing. When I find the people who I think are my target audience, I just hand them a book and have them read the back.
Okay.
Because when you read the back of the book, it tells them whether or not they'd be interested in it. I do a pretty good job with my back cover copy of getting the gist of what it is they're going to read, giving them a feel for what they're going to read.
Is that tricky for you? Like, because most authors
it takes me 2 days per back cover copy just to get the back cover copy. I spent 2 days on the back cover.
I mean, 2 days isn't that bad.
No, but for me, that's a lot. That's a lot of attention to put on, a couple of paragraphs of writing. But that's tricky. But at the same time, I actually have this pattern I've adopted. I hand them a book. I say, I got one question, read the back, and then I got one question for you. So I let them read the back, and then I say, so the question is, if you had it, would you read it? And kids are amazing, man. They are honest. I have kids say, no, I don't think so. I have kids say, maybe. Oh, probably. I'm in the middle of such and such. And it's great. They're honest because then, if they are interested, you can say, well, if you're interested, I give away all of the ebooks for free. And we've got an audiobook podcast where we read them all that you can get at for free. So if you get your parents over here, I can get them to get a hold of the free stuff for you and you can get a hold of the stories. So that's sort of the way I approach the in-person stuff at the homeschool conventions for kids. With parents, it's a little different, right? As you said, you're selling to a parent what their kid's going to read. And so the way I'd go about that is actually, well, there are 2 versions. There's the truncated version and the full version. The full version is something along the lines of, so your life is a story. Everything in your life, everything you do is a story. It's a narrative about you. That's your past. Your whole past is your story. And so when you read a story, it becomes a part of you. Literally a part of you. It becomes a part of you. What kind of stories are your kids reading? Okay. These homeschool conventions are overwhelmingly Christian. And so when I say Chronicles of Narnia for the post-Star Wars generation, people immediately go, oh.
You're making a lot of parents happy.
That's well,
homeschoolers love Star Wars.
Homeschoolers love Chronicles of Narnia. Homeschoolers are very split on Star Wars because Star Wars is a Gnostic story written from a Luciferian worldview.
Oh.
Believe
In
it or
my
not.
homeschool circles, we all love Star Wars.
Well, I mean,
maybe the northern homeschoolers weren't quite so into it. Down south, we
okay,
all
so
love Star Wars.
okay, so where are you from? I'm curious.
Oklahoma.
Okay, you're not that far south of me even. So actually,
well, I'm in Miami right now, but I grew up in Oklahoma.
Okay, so to be fair, it's split. It's 50-50. The people who are really cautious about what they let their kids read are very suspicious of Star Wars. The ones who are generally more open to things, they love Star Wars. And I love Star Wars. I mean, I loved Star Wars. I grew up with it and I loved it, but I want something that comes from a worldview that isn't Gnostic and Luciferian. Because if you really want, I can dig down into it and explain to you how Star Wars is. And I even did a whole podcast with a friend on The Matrix talking about this, because The Matrix, did you know the cast and crew of The Matrix were required to read Gnostic philosophy in order to participate in creating the movie?
The irony, okay, yeah, this is as far as I'm going on this topic, but the irony is that I had the pastor of one of my early churches who it was a very small church and a very tight-knit group, and he led I think he preached 3 or 4 sermons and led several Bible studies with the Matrix as the focus, and I could never take it seriously. Anyways, that's all I'm saying on that. Well, the funniest thing of my life was this pastor who just really liked that movie and tied it into everything he preached and did for 2 to 3 months. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. He really liked that movie.
Interesting.
Anyways, yeah, but
yeah, so yeah. I love Star Wars, though. I loved The Matrix. They were 2 of my favorite stories of all time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also see the places where the stories that I love have little lies that creep in that wind up, if you focus on them, they wind up creating all kinds of problems in your head with the way you think about the world. And they don't have to. I love those stories still. I'm not preaching against them. I really love them, but at the same time, I want to create something that is even better if I can. That's a heck of an aspiration, though. I almost feel stupid saying it, because it's those stories are so massive, such a massive part of culture. Saying I want to create something better almost sounds pretentious, but that's
the attitude you got to have.
Right. Well, you understand what I'm saying, though. I'm acknowledging that this is
very hard. You're climbing a mountain,
and I'm acknowledging that this is something that it's an aspiration. It's not like I did such.
Well, here's a flip on that. A question I have, because it is something I've thought a lot about, is finding the things that are a positive influence and the things that you can go back to and reinforce, by repeating them, as a good thing. So. My question would be for you. Okay, so what to exclude? Okay, the Bible's an easy answer. So not okay. And C.S. Lewis, we're going to and Tolkien. Well, no, yeah, I'm going to exclude all 3 of those.
I don't read Tolkien.
Okay, so perfect. So excluding those, is there fiction like it doesn't have to be comparable in terms of sci-fi but is in terms of what you're looking for, the positive story that you want echoed in your life that you go back to, so it can be a movie or it can be a book. Is there something like that for you that you do positively model yourself after? I'm curious.
Well, if we're excluding anything C.S. Lewis wrote, then I'm going to have a hard time. Especially if
I'm curious.
Well, especially if it's limited to fiction, because the whole truth is stranger than fiction trope.
Mm-hmm.
I've been reading some things lately that are actually probably true, that are way stranger than any fiction I've ever read, that are actually right along those lines. You said Genesis 6. There is a book called The Genesis 6 Conspiracy by a guy named Gary Wayne.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
that book, I can't say that it's all true, guys. I think he reaches. I think he's drawing pictures there that are I don't know, he's reaching pretty hard some of those times, but at the same time, it's a truly fascinating examination of how the world works socially and where, what happened in Genesis 6 and what the results of that today are, and modern day Nephilim and all kinds of crazy things come into this book. And some of he thinks it's all true, I think. And I think probably some measure of it is, but where you draw the line on that is where you have to draw the line on any conspiracy theory that you approach. It's like you have to take them all with a grain of salt, look at them kind of critically and go, well, I don't know. I can't just swallow this. I can't just wholesale go, oh, I believe this. But at the same time, there may be elements of truth in there. So a lot of where I get my inspiration is from things that I don't know whether they're entirely true, but I do think that there are elements of truth there.
You go hunting for those nuggets.
Yeah, that's right.
Chew the meat, spit out the bones. That's how I would say.
Right. Well, and
how are you eating your food? Are you a psycho?
It works.
Hey, whatever works, man.
Okay, so now allowing for C.S. Lewis fiction. Let's go with fiction just for kicks. So what would be your like which one stands out to you?
Are you a Screw Tape guy? Are you a Narnia guy? Are you a Forbidden Planet guy? Are you a whatever else? What else did he do?
The Great Divorce.
Great Divorce. Do you like Divorce?
The Great Divorce. That is one. I think if I have to point to a fiction book that embodies what I would aspire to do, it would be that, because what he did in The Great Divorce is mind-blowing to me.
Fair.
So The Great Divorce, I'm not familiar with that one.
It is an allegory of heaven and hell. It is an examination. You meet the main character down in hell, and he ascends to heaven, and he gets to experience all of the, what would you call it? All of the reasons why C.S. Lewis thought someone would wind up in hell, and all of the reasons or all of the things about heaven that make it real. And he does it in a way that is incredibly different and almost shocking. It's like, it's not a religious essay. It's sort of an almost a mythical, magical examination of a bigger reality that he doesn't really understand himself, but he's trying to get some grasp on and give people a look into.
Gotcha.
And so that's what I would aspire to, is just to get some kind of grasp on the greater reality that we all live in and give people a look into it.
Something you just said that really stood out to me, because I love doing it in my own writing. I think a lot of us do this. Is writing about the things we don't yet understand as a way to try.
Yes,
I love that. He did it clearly, and I think we all. I don't know. I'm curious about you. Do you do that? Exploring not even just themes of metaphysics, but even just people.
Sure.
And anything. Yeah, I'm curious.
Absolutely, absolutely, I do. I can't put into a box exactly how I approach those sorts of topics, because I don't think any writer, and I'm guessing you guys would agree with this. If not, feel free to push back. But I think that any writer who's worth his salt, who's actually worth reading, does not fully understand his process for how he gets his ideas and processes them. I think that we all do it in a way that is something that we're grasping for and trying to learn more than something that we've mastered.
I think I'll allow that.
Yeah. There's absolutely that element of exploration and inspiration and mystery, where you put it time and things come to you in a way you don't quite expect.
Reaching for something that's beyond us, reaching for something that we can't really grasp and systematize, but something that is the key to good writing is that.
Do you ever get stuck on that?
Constantly.
Yeah, and how what's the how does that ever throw you into like a slump where you have to step back and pause? What do you do? Do you pivot? Do you pivot to something else, or do you pause and wait till you can figure out that?
I'm really bad about consistency, Tim.
Hmm.
I'm really bad about consistency. I will go and I will write for a month steady, and then I will write 2 times the next month, 2 days. And so I'm just not good at being consistent.
When you say that, we got 5 books out now, right?
Yeah, I do.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good for someone who's not consistent.
How long have you been writing for?
Yeah, there's a great question. Yeah.
Well, I started when I was 12. I wrote the prequel.
Okay, never mind. That's
Bright Star.
Pretty good.
I wrote the prequel to Bright Star. It was 250,000 words. I finished before I was 17, and it was terrible and unreadable and unpublishable, and it still is. But that's what gave me the body of mythology and the body of history that I was able to dip into for that universe. And then I put it aside for a few years, and I started again in my early 20s, and that's actually when I wrote Path of the Talonwood and Winter Night. Was in my early 20s when I originally wrote those. And then more recently, I started again and I wrote Bright Star, From the Void, Veil of Mysteries, and I'm working on what I read to you guys today was from the Void. I called it The Interval. It's an in-between anthology that goes between book 1 and book 2 in the series. And then I'm working on an in-between anthology for 2 and 3, and I'm working on book 3 as well. I also have the sequel to Path of the Talonwood started, and I'm working on a book with a friend.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you don't have to read to my knowledge, you don't have to read the intervals to still appreciate the main books.
Not at all.
The epimyth, right?
Or even vice versa, really. I mean, I wrote the short stories as standalones. You could read any of them as their own sort of, with one exception, as their own sort of story.
Fair. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. The horror piece I'm working on technically falls into, my larger series, but I don't even know. I'm genuinely considering just not listing it as attached to the series, just to see how it lands for people who haven't had any exposure to my stuff. It's very much how I want it, and then I almost wonder, like because it's meant to connect to that world, but it's distinct enough in its style and even its genre, because it's horror instead of just dark fantasy. Like it's distinct enough that I'm like, someone might read this and then go to my other book and be like, what I mean, I can tell it's the same, but also, come on, I wanted more of this,
You lost the sauce.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I wrote them the opposite order, but that would be interesting.
I suppose you could get that, but I don't write for those kind of readers. I write for the readers who are interested in exploring more than they are in, I'm going to get judgy about this. If you're writing for the people who are judgy, you'll never write anything that's any good. Those people can go boil their heads.
There's a lot of them, but yes,
they can all go boil their heads. I don't care.
That's fair. Yeah.
Don't be judgy, people.
Yeah.
We write because we want to explore things, and we want to take you along on the journey, and it's fun. And so don't, if you want to be judgy, that's your business, but do it somewhere else. I don't want any of that.
Fair. Yeah, very fair. Anyways, yeah, it's fun. So yeah, so I mean, yeah, you've been at this since you were young, and now you're at 5 books, and with three in the works, it sounded like. Yeah.
Three in an interval.
3 in an interval. Yeah. Darn, that's awesome. Yeah, so I mean, consistency be damned at that point.
Well, I need to actually, sit down and do the writing, and I'm working on that, but that is a thing that has to happen. Yeah. I'm also editing for somebody else who's writing a lit RPG.
Fair.
It's a really fun book. He's done a great job. It's his first novel, and for anybody who's interested, it's Patch Notes Apocalypse is the name of the book. Patch Notes Apocalypse. Yeah, it's fun.
Good. He's got a whole YouTube channel dedicated to that. So.
Well, he actually used to have a YouTube channel. He used to be one of the co-hosts of the Conspiracy Pilled podcast.
And his author, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. PJ Williams. And so now he's got this book he's been writing. He has stopped doing the podcasting as a mainstay because he had to turn to other things his family needed to be provided for, and he didn't have time. But he's writing the book now, and it's fun. It's very fun. It's very cryptid, there are a lot of cryptids, a lot of conspiracy topics in it, and he has fun with them. He genuinely romps through it. It's great.
Is the pivot to lit RPG tough for you? I've heard like some people can take it, some people don't like it at all as a branch off genre. So I'm curious.
I read them for fun. Like one of my sort of, how when you read things that are just candy, like brain candy. One of my brain candy authors is Dakota Crowd. I really like his stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I read the Christmas Demon by Jay-Z Pitt. Is it Jay-Z Pitt? I want to say. What I feel like I have his book, like one of his other books, right around here, but I'm gonna mess up his name if I don't look at it. Come on. Jay-Z Pitts, yeah, Jay-Z Pitts. So it's a nice little fantasy or a horror novella. Krampus is kind of like Krampus in Germany, kind of. It was very fun. Very fun, and that was my candy. It was just it was shorter than the novella I just put out, so it was very short, very easy to read. I blasted through it in I think 2 sittings, and that was only because I started it when I was already dead tired at the end of the day. Shouldn't have done. I should have just started it on a fresh day and blasted through it. But you need those guilty pleasure reads.
You do,
yeah.
No, I'm with you, and to me, that's what lit RPG is for me. So getting to edit one is just fun. It's just fun.
Fair.
And then, for the rest of it, for what I'm doing, I don't even know. I don't think I would want to write lit RPG except maybe as a lark. I could see doing it at some point as a lark, but for most of my writing, I have to take it a little more. I don't know. I won't say more seriously because that isn't really what I'm going for, but it's a little different for me. I don't think I want to write that as a mainstay for sure.
Fair. Very fair. Well, I don't know. Isaac, are you feeling up for a game?
Well, speaking of building things and creating things, I figured since you're a bit of a world builder, you might like a little world building exercise.
Okay, I'm game.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Terror of the World Builders. This is a little game. We're going to go through 3 things. We're going to have a character, a place, and another thing. Each of these things will have twists with the thing. You'll understand once you start.
All right. Well, let's dive in.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So, as soon as we get a slide. Okay. We got some cat. Here's your character. It's some cat. But the twist for this cat is he remembers his past life as a something. So who is this cat? What was he in a previous life? What is he doing? What does he want?
What my mind immediately goes to is that my Path of the Talonwood has cats in it that are actual characters. And so I almost, that's where my mind immediately jumps to, and I'm having trouble getting away from that here. So this cat would have to be think of it almost as, I don't know, I can't do the past life thing very well, though. Let's see. Past life.
What's his name? What do you think his name is?
His name. Bob.
Bob. Bob the cat.
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob.
Sorry.
Yes.
Little Bob.
Bob the cat. His past life as, okay, we'll make it a lit RPG. His past life, he is a human being playing Bob the cat in a completely immersive RPG game.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I like it.
So the guide shows Bob, out of all the people to be, he's Bob the cat, the lit RPG. Okay, that's a good twist. Okay, so Bob the cat, lit RPG boy, lives in some city. And the twist for this city, it's in the middle of an outbreak of some kind. So what is this city and what's going on here? And why is Bob here?
Well, the best way to go to the outbreak would be, it's not quite a zombie outbreak. It's more like a general twisting of all life into something that it should not be. and it's an outbreak that is more based. I mean, it does have its physical characteristics, but it's based in the nature of the world. Something is twisting the world, and everything is turning into something that it shouldn't be. And so the city is going to be. We'll make it a. It's a Mediterranean city of some sort where Bob the cat is actually there as a guardian angel.
Oh, he's a nice little cat guarding the Mediterranean city. Let's say it's Barcelona. He's
All
down
right.
in Barcelona, protecting Barcelona from whatever. I think Barcelona is changing into like I don't know, changing into boats.
You know what I
Everything down
immediately
in the
thought of with that description of like everything becoming a little corrupt? I don't know if you've seen it, Jared, but I know Isaac has. We've talked about, but Annihilation. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I didn't.
Or read the book?
Yeah.
It's
Okay. Everything's
creepy.
becoming Annihilation.
Come on.
I'm imagining something between The Blight in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time and a zombie outbreak a la John Ringo's Black Tide Rising.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bob's here to protect the city. So
Bob's here to protect a particular family in the city. And he's having a heck of a time of it. Like it's his person, his people, and he's having a heck of a time of it.
Can he communicate with them, or is he just normal cat to them?
Well, he could communicate under very specific circumstances, but not very often. He looks like a normal cat, but if they could see what he's really like, he's like 6 foot at the shoulder. He's the size of a horse.
In real life, Bob is a horse.
Well, Bob isn't entirely a corporeal being.
Okay. So Bob's in this city. He's protecting this family from the blight zombies. And there's something else in the city too. This city has some kind of society. The twist is they're new in town and they're eager to make their mark.
The cultists.
The cultists.
The cultists who are spreading the reality twisting outbreak of zombiness to the city.
How are they doing that? What are they doing?
Well, I can set this in the Energemetra 6 universe and tell you exactly the mechanics, but I don't come up with mechanics that quickly. So I would say that I would just have to set it in the E6 universe somewhere and say that it is based on the energy fields that underlie reality and how they're manipulated and how they affect the beings who are based upon and who they surround, and that because of these cultists' effect on those energy fields, it is warping everything around them.
So they're playing rap music really loud.
Oh, it isn't so much about the rap music. It's more about the installation of little gems into unsuspecting humans who they kidnap.
A lot of rappers wear a lot of jewelry.
Okay, we can make them rappers. That would be perfectly fine with me.
They're the society.
I have a problem with that's great. We can go with that. The society kidnaps people who come to their events and think of it a la alien abduction. They install tiny little crystals into their victims, which then warp those victims into beings that are not exactly human anymore.
I bet even a lot of people even freely buy this stuff from them too, at like the gift shop.
Absolutely.
So is like the family Bob's protecting. I bet the little kid's like, oh, the society's in town, and he wants to go. He's like, Dad, can I go to the society? The dad's like, you can't go to the society, son. No, it's too dangerous. They're too.
And so he sneaks out. And Bob has
music.
So the little kid sneaks out, and Bob has to follow him and protect him from some pretty seriously nasty.
He says, come on, Bob, let's go to the society.
Bob's like, oh, what are you getting yourself into now?
There we go. Okay, now we have a little world all set up, ready to go. So that's basically the game. We have created a situation and some characters and a problem, and where it ends up, Who knows?
It's a backdrop for a pretty fun story.
Actually, it is. That is a fun story.
Hopefully it ends well for everybody.
I can't see it ending well for everybody. I mean, the society, at least it can't end well for them, even if it's a happy story. And then if it's got any element of truth in it, it isn't going to end well for the whole family either, because that's how life is.
The dad gets really into the society. He's like, son, you were right. The society's great.
This rap music is awesome.
That music, they use words never even thought of before.
Okay, I'm gonna switch back here. That clip that they show everywhere. I mean, I think it's like YouTube and Rumble. Well, I don't go on Rumble really, but where else do I see shorts? Instagram maybe. But TikTok. I feel like everywhere I've seen shorts of every once in a while it'll flip back to Eminem explaining how he gets mad if someone says you can't rhyme with orange, and then he gives you like 20 examples of how to rhyme with orange by twisting the words. And I feel like I've seen that clip like a million times. Like, I don't like it. I don't want to see this anymore. Stop showing it to me. But
we get it. Eminem rhymes with things.
Yep. So yeah, this dad is like, yo, I didn't know you could rhyme with orange. Yeah.
Eminem blew my mind.
Eminem is definitely the leader of this society.
Eminem's the society. No, there are a bunch of Eminem like lookalikes. They're trying to be Eminem.
It's good. There we go. That was fun.
Before we actually close this, I do want to talk specifically about some kind of a couple of things about in-person sales, because I know a lot of the audience is authors here, and I have a couple of suggestions actually. One of them is, if you've only got one book, Authors in Grocery Stores is the program for you, man. That's Authors in Grocery Stores it isn't available in every state, but the way it works is you pay $75 a year, and then you can go set up in whatever local Kroger family store is near you, and you can sell your books for basically as much time as you want. There are people who do this as a full-time job. They actually sell their books in Kroger as a full-time job, and they'll make a pretty good salary. There are people who make literally six figures doing this, and they've only got 3 or 4 books published. Now, as you get into it, you discover that certain genres are much better than others. If you have books for kids or for elderly people, you're going to do particularly well. The books have to be clean in order to be eligible for the program, and Kroger takes 30% of your cover price. So you keep like 70% ish. They take 30%. But other than that, it's you get to just sit there and sell books as much as you want. And there are people who actually make a living doing this. So for any of you folks out there who are interested in doing this sort of thing, I've only done it a couple of times this year, but even so, this past weekend, I sat out in the grocery store and I sold 10 copies of my books, which, that's not nothing.
That was this one here, right? That was with this program? Yeah.
That's that one. That's what I'm doing there. And you need a small table. You need a chair. You don't actually have to have a big banner. I did the big banner mostly because I go to the bigger shows. Fair. But you have to have something on the table that says, meet the author, get your book signed today. And then you have your books out there. You have to get them into their system, and you can sell your books. And it's King Soopers around here. It's Kroger out east. There's, I don't remember, Fry's down south and out west, I think.
Yeah, so Fry's.
Yeah. So yes, that's a thing. And very because our audience here is mostly authors, I would recommend looking into that if it's something that you're, where you're looking to get physical copies of your books in people's hands. That's a great way to get started on that. I've done it a number of times. It's not always easy to
get into bookstores, right? Some indie books don't even accept indie authors. Right. And not everyone has the same luck with getting into, places like Barnes and Nobles or Chapters or.
Yeah, I haven't had much luck getting into bookstores yet. But I'll tell you what, I can sit in King Soopers and sell them. Now you have to be there to have your books there, but that's how it works. Then, for the bigger stuff, you can go to Comic Cons, you can go to conventions of different types. I've done okay at Comic Cons. I actually am starting to do much better at the homeschool events. So yeah, no, you can do the bigger events as well. You have to pay the vendor cost for a table, and you have to travel, and if you're buying a hotel, if you're getting a hotel room, that's added cost. So depends on whether you live in a big city or not, whether you can make that work. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
I end up sleeping in the back of my minivan a lot.
Fair.
But throw a sleeping bag in there, whatever, not the end of the world. But
Unless it's a Canadian winter, but otherwise fair enough.
I did the North Dakota Homeschool Convention in February, and I slept in the back of my minivan. I don't know that I'm going to do it that way again. We'll see. That was not the most fun in the world, man.
That's rough. That's brave, but that's rough.
Hey,
whew, that's commitment.
But to give you some idea, I'll actually give you some numbers here. The smaller homeschool conventions like Wyoming and Nebraska, the table will cost you somewhere around $100, and at the Wyoming one, I grossed $450. So for 2 days at a convention, you're actually making a reasonable wage for your time.
Yep.
You have to pay something for the cost of the books, which is 20 to 30% for me a lot of the time, and then because my price is a little higher, but then I'm giving away free ebooks and audiobooks to anybody I can talk to. But then I come away from that. If I've made table and a little more, I'm usually pretty happy. The best conventions for me this year were Wyoming and Nebraska, where I made like a 30% profit. I made like $150, $200 for 2 days worth of work, which is acceptable. And then, the bigger conventions, a lot of it is a matter of time and exposure. From what I've heard talking to other authors who've done this for multiple years, if you do it for multiple years and you build up an audience there, you will ramp up your profits. My worst conventions this year, I'll get into those last, but the bigger ones that I went to were like 400 to 600, 650 for the table, but I grossed anywhere between $900 and $1,000 at those two. Colorado and Arizona, I did okay. But again, these books are really, really appropriate for a homeschool audience. So I'm trying to hit my audience specifically. When I did Comic-Cons, I did some small ones, and then I did the Galaxy Con in Columbus, where I ended up with a similar thing. I don't think I made a lot of profit, but I at least made back the cost of the table and gas and food to go there. So it was like, and that's been the case for most of these, where I'm making back what I'm putting into it at least, and I have more readers.
Yeah.
And they have physical copies of my books, which means they have a buy-in, and it isn't like they're just going to buy it and forget it, buy it for 99 cents and forget it and never read it, which is what happens sometimes with the ebooks and stuff. So the worst conventions I did are the ones I would never do again. And those were like 800, 850 a table, and I grossed like 300-400 at those. Yeah. So some of this is a learning curve, right? You learn some. But of the 12 that I did this year, I would go back to probably 7 or 8 of them.
Fair.
And 2 of the others were borderline. So there were 2 that I definitely wouldn't do again. Those were the ones that were the most expensive, but they didn't do so well for me. And then some of the mid-range ones were kind of borderline, and I was gone too much this year. I don't want to be on the road as much as I was. So if I have to choose ones to eliminate, it's going to be a couple of those middle of the road ones. And then the ones that I'd actually keep are the ones that are closer to home and cheaper. And the 2 big ones that actually, did net me a pretty good gross. So that's what it's looked like for me as far as the physical side of things goes. And if I lived somewhere that was bigger, like if I'm in Wyoming, I'm about 2.5 hours from Denver. If I lived down in Denver or in a bigger city, I could book more events that were bigger events and do more of the in-person sales thing. And probably over time, as you re-attend events and you have people coming back the next year, especially events like homeschool conventions, you get to have an actual following and an actual audience there that you can kind of build.
Yeah.
Fair.
Is that something that you're looking into do?
I'm going to probably be doing some of that. One of the big reasons, though, is actually that I do best when I have people to talk to about my writing. And so if I'm actually talking to people who are interested in books for their kids, or kids who are interested in books, it lights me up. It gives me passion. It gives me motivation to keep going and to write the next thing. I've heard it said that publishing is a business that's based on excitement, and there is some truth in that. And so one of the ways I maintain my motivation is by getting out there and talking to people about what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
There. Yeah, like it's not just the excitement of other people; it's yours as well as the author. There's that give and take for sure.
Yes, very much so. If I were going off the excitement of other people, I wouldn't be able to do this. But to maintain my own level of motivation, I do need to talk to other people about it. And talking to you guys is fun, but I don't do tons of these podcasts. And talking to actual, people who are in my target audience is really helpful.
Fair, yeah. And seeing them actually buy your book, take it home, read it, talk about it.
I had the coolest experience in North Dakota, guys. I sat down and one of the organizer's daughters, 17 years old, she was bored. She didn't have a lot to do, but she kind of hung around my booth for a good chunk of the convention. At one point, I finally took from the void, I handed it to her. I said, "Here, read this story." I opened it to one of the stories. I said, "Here, read this story." She sat there for 2 hours, read the whole book. When she finished, she handed me her credit card. She said, "I want it."
That's awesome. After finishing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Even better.
Like, as an author, there isn't much that beats having somebody sit down, read your book, and hand you their credit card and say, "Here, take my money. I want it."
Yeah.
That encouraged me so much. I can't even tell you. I mean, I'm still telling the story and we're 8 months later.
Yeah. That's a cool feeling.
Pretty good.
Is.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't like that. It's one of the areas I've definitely neglected. Like at this point, Mike, I don't know if Mike is here. Mike has dropped in, but it's probably going to rewatch it. But you're right on time, Mike, for we're talking about in-person sales. And Mike is a legend for doing that. He sells more of my books in person than I do. So really
that's amazing, man.
Because I just know, which is great of Mike to do. Like he does that for so many indie authors, goes to conventions with a massive stack of everyone else's books on top of his too, obviously.
I might have met him at one of these Comic-Cons I went to.
I wonder.
I might have, because this is ringing a bell. This is ringing a bell. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it's Mike right here. Well, pretty small image, but if you can see him there, yeah.
Yeah, no, bald head.
I can't. I can't. And I've been at so many conventions this year now that my brain is totally melted down from it. I don't remember, except a very few people. I don't remember faces anymore.
No, but yeah, all that to say is like there are those moments when okay, I'll stop. Mike's a total jerk who does these nice things for people purely for selfish reasons. Don't buy any of it. Buy the books, but don't buy into his nice.
He bit me on the arm, like behind, like the back of my arm.
But when I did my first signing, it's still my favorite moment for sure. I'm like, I need to do more of these, just get more of those stories, because it was such a great moment. When it was a 13-year-old kid who came by the table, asked me what the book was about. I told him, it was like, "Mom, can I have it? Can I please have it?" And watching a kid beg their parent for them to buy your book, and her actually doing it. I was like, okay, that was the
coolest thing ever. You go to these homeschool conventions and the kids are running around, and a lot of times with kids, they won't stop. You actually have to call out and say, "Hey, do you like to read? Hey, do you like fantasy?" Or, whatever. And they come over and you say, will you read the back of a book? Would you do that? And they'll sometimes, they'll hem and haw, but usually they'll say, "Yeah, I can do that." And they'll read it. And then I say, "So, okay, if you like it, bring your parents over." And 10 minutes later, they come dragging their parents over and the parents buy a book. And that's like, wow, that's amazing, because that is the surest way to get a sale. Sell the kid and get them to get their dad.
Yeah. Not the mom, the dad, right?
Well, if you want to make a sale, get the dad. If you want to give away an ebook or an audiobook or whatever, get the mom. But if you do give away the ebook, audiobook to the mom, then there's a better chance that the whole family will be exposed to it, that it'll get played for the whole family. So whatever you want to do there. But yeah, go get your mom or dad.
No, fair. There we
That's
go.
awesome.
I mean, Isaac, that's your audience. So these are things for you more than I originally wanted to write for, I think, a younger audience, and I very quickly realized, no, that's not what's coming out, and that's not who's currently reading my book. And I'm kind of writing for myself right now, very much still.
Yeah.
Kind of like maybe that'll never go away because, like you described, that's there are things
I suspect as we get further along, Tim, we'll do things kind of on a lark where you go, I want to try this. And so you go try it and you write something for a different audience than you're used to, or a different whatever. And that's
I'm doing
cool.
that right now. So yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. So I suspect you'll have a time when you decide, I want to go write for a younger audience. I really want to try this. Let's do something specifically here. And then as you get more experienced, you do that. I suspect that's a thing.
I'm writing things that
I'm leaving it on bucket list when I was a kid.
That's my general rule.
I'm sorry. You would have read
what were you saying?
Were a kid, you said?
I talked over you.
No. I didn't hear what you said.
Okay. I write things that I would have loved to have found as a kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things I want to work on.
That's how I'm doing it as well.
Yeah. Because I know whatever I write is going to be around forever. So I want the things that stay around forever to be, I don't want to write like overly violent or trashy or risque things. That's going to be here forever. I want to write things that everyone can read and enjoy. Not just the very young, not just the very old, everybody.
Very much same. You and I are very much on the same page there.
Yeah.
As far as it goes, the only thing where I would tend to get out of what most parents would be comfortable with their kids reading is how dark some of it is, and only because life is dark, right? Like that there is a C.S. Lewis quote. Children will, you don't have to convince children that there are dragons in the world. Children will encounter dragons. What you have to convince them of is that there are brave knights who can, fight against the dragons.
Yeah. There's this isn't quite random or non sequitur. It's off of what you just said. I feel like there are two different paths that a lot of authors take. There are those who write almost something more aspirational, and then there are those who write something more nihilistic. I think would be almost the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Because I recently and I like that you manage, and this, I think C.S. Lewis, this is very much what he did, and I think you are writing in that spirit of you can depict horror, you can depict evil, and you can give the reader hope that the fight is worth it.
That's that's the core of the hero story. That's the core of who we all want to be in our own lives, man. Yeah. It's like we want to be the one who overcomes the darkness that inevitably faces us, because we all face huge amounts of darkness. And that's what I aspire to.
Yeah. And there's a place for all of it. Like, I read a quote recently that really got me thinking of it from an author probably on the other extreme, who was like, I need to tell true stories. And to me, a true story isn't someone in their last words giving a brave speech and going off to battle. It's someone saying, damn, and then dying. And I was like, okay, for the vast majority of cases, you're not wrong. But there are those times where someone does. It's the rare cases that sometimes need to get told. Of someone doing something brave and bold in the last.
Yeah, sometimes you need Saul at the end falling on his sword. That's
like,
how
you need both those
gotta
stories.
go sometimes.
Yeah.
And he yelled, "Thank you for writing those dark and gritty tales.
They are fun, yeah." It's
And thank you for not being nihilistic.
I agree, by the way. I don't like the nihilistic thing. I think that as authors, and yes, that's my wife, and yes, I should probably
that's probably your cue to leave, right? If
she's actually it's my cue to talk about dragons. If she's saying that, then that she's nudging me. Yeah, you should talk about dragons. But no, what I've said about dragons is make dragons the enemy again. Like, we have this thing.
I don't know about that. I'm just kidding, actually. Yeah.
Well, we have this thing in the world where one of the things that, and I'm going to get real here for a second. in this world, we actually do face spiritual darkness. There are spiritual powers in the world that are not all friendly to us. And one of the things they try to do is they try to twist things around so that good is evil and evil is good. And they try to get us to think that the dragons are the good guys. And that's what a lot of modern fantasy has turned into, where the dragons aren't the good guys.
Actually, okay. Again, without going too deep into it, but there's a really fun scene in the book I'm writing right now where that's almost a direct quote. Not quite. It's less. I mean, there again, supernatural horror is a big part of it, but there's this really fun moment where the main character gets frustrated with this academic that he encounters who has kind of selectively interpreted the history of this evil they're facing to try and spin it as something good. And it's very fun to see. It's yeah. It's a very fun thing to write because I was like, this hits home for me, just things I've seen.
Oh, it definitely hits home. Yeah. That's right. And so
this is funny though. Okay.
Donkey from Shrek thinks otherwise. I think that's the whole point, dude. I think that's the whole point.
That's proving the point.
That is proving the point that all of the modern tales that people are adopting say the dragons are good guys.
See, I like both. I like Aragon, for example, but I also really like Reign of Fire. There's a really fun depiction of dragons as the absolute menace. That was like one of my favorite dragon movies of all time. That one I can go back to again and again and again. You know, you need a place for both, and everything in between.
Yeah, no, I. And I, like I say, I know that there are a lot of people who disagree with me on that point, but it's like, I want to depict actual evil as actual evil. I want to depict good as good. And the person you were talking about who would say that almost everyone just says, you know, damn, and dies or whatever, that's more real. I could almost make the opposite argument to that. It's like the only way that becomes a part of you is when you lose sight of the fact that you are the hero of your own story. You are the protagonist in the story of your life, and what you're doing is important and it does matter. And I actually would say that one of the things, talking about nihilism, one of the things that the enemy, the real enemy, our enemy, is doing is trying to make us feel like our stories aren't important. Guys, your stories are important. You matter. Your life matters. Your story is important. That's true for all of you. Whether you are the listener or you're, you know, either of you guys, it matters. You matter. And so when your story no longer is important to you and you can paint it as, oh, I just, you know, it doesn't matter. They just say, damn, and they die. Well, that is essentially having internalized nihilism at a certain level.
Yeah, I think I mean, more of us would meet nobler ends if we were inspired to do so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it matters.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that. Like, that's the thing. I think there has to be room for everything in between. There has to be room for entertainment and there has to be room for creative subversion. I'm all for that. I like those things. I really do. But when and this particular author, a very big author, I'm talking like a very, very big author who gave this
we're talking Mo Willems here. Elephant and Piggy.
And they were basically saying that this is what you have to do. And they were saying they were saying they really detest stories that have the character making a noble gesture at the end. I was like, see, now you're going too far and saying that your bleak outlook is the only one, or is the like that. It drove me nuts. I hated reading it. What he was saying was just driving me absolute bonkers.
Put E.L. Montague's quote up, or his just
bottom
chat
one
up there.
This one, yeah.
But evil is in your heart. What you do with your choices form good and evil. Sometimes we face people who choose evil. Guess what this author who you're talking about has chosen? He's chosen evil. He has chosen to internalize nihilism. That is evil.
Sorry. It's bats. Yeah, you know, it's Joe. Sorry, Joe. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Hey,
it's not.
No, seriously though, I actually believe that's a real thing. And I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but this is the way I look at the world. I think you matter.
Yeah.
And that's how I write my stories, is because you matter. I write my stories to people who matter.
Great. Very good.
What a-
Any last things you'd like to mention or shout out as we end here?
That's a
Oh,
great spot to end, by the way. Just to
that
say
is a great
yeah.
spot to end. No, I want to say thanks to Tim. Tim has been editing for me, and I'm going to find a way to bribe him or force him to continue to doing this, because Tim is awesome and Tim is amazing. So there's that. Then,
Well, you make it easy. It's good stuff.
well, I appreciate it, but no, seriously, awesome job and appreciate it. And thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. If you
Pleasure
are
having you.
interested in reading any of my stuff, I give away the ebooks for free, e6universe.com. Join the email list, and the system just emails them all out to you. You can give it a shot. I love having people read my stories.
Yeah. Oh, and like you said, the audio is available on, I think it's
Yeah.
YouTube and podcast platforms.
YouTube, Rumble, any podcast app. Just put the word Energemetra 6 in there, or go to e6universe.com and click the audio tab.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, we've got that website linked below. So anyone on YouTube, you can find it there. Anyone on other platforms, you can either go to, Jared's,
the letter
Twitter
E, the
account.
number 6, universe.
Yep. But yeah, so it should be nice and easy to find. And check these books out. I'm vouching for them. I've had a lot of fun reading Jared's writing. So, and I'm really liking, again, I'm like, you do a really good job branching across different genres. So you can find what you like in a few different categories, which is cool to see from an author. So yeah, keep it up. It's
thank you,
very
guys.
cool to see your journey.
Appreciate you both. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, on that awesome note, all the usual stuff, like, follow, subscribe. And I believe we have another show next Thursday. So for the next little bit, I think it's every week. We'll double check that, and we'll let you all know as usual. And thank you everyone for coming out, for everyone for joining the chat. This was totally awesome. We had a great turnout. And we will see you